Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Phil Murphy ran for governor on raising taxes. He was elected after saying he was going to raise taxes, and now he's having a difficult time raising taxes, and here's someone who's happy about that. Regina Egea is the president of the Garden State Initiative, and she is the former chief of staff for Governor Christie. Thanks so much for being back. Appreciate it. Let's talk about the Garden State Initiative first. I think it's important to lay a foundation of what that is.
Sure. It's a nonpartisan think tank, and it's focused on fiscal and economic matters here in New Jersey, and we just launched last fall.
Now, when you say nonpartisan, but of course everybody hears, oh, former chief of staff of Christie, she has an axe to grind against this governor. Do you have an axe to grind?
No, no denying I am a Republican, but I'm really more about New Jersey and really about economic growth. And so the fundamental, principle that we keep driving toward is pro-growth policies for the state of New Jersey. Pro-growth policies, is that necessarily lower taxes? I think that's got to be on the table, as well as there are some taxes that we need.
So you agree that we do have to have some taxes? Are you talking about an increase in some taxes or no increase in any taxes?
I think we have to be holistic. I think that we've been knee-jerk and really talked about taxes one by one by one, and we need to be much more focused on the integration of the impact of all these taxes on both business and residences.
I read a letter that you co-wrote for Tax Day, and where you seem to come after Governor Phil Murphy because he said in his speech that he holds Massachusetts as almost idyllic when it comes to how they run their state, and you went point by point that New Jersey has higher taxes, and it would lead me to believe that what you're trying to say to Phil Murphy is that you're against any of the new taxes that he wants. Is that the case?
Well, I don't think they would be positive for the economy. So the ones that he has been talking about are ones that are really aimed at certain revenue raisers to fund programs as opposed to what drives economic growth. And that's the way I think we ought to come about tax policy. And so what we've been doing for the last several months is looking at, on the business side, how competitive is New Jersey against our 5 near neighbor states in looking at key industries. And we're going to release that study shortly. And I think it will help set the context for if you really want to grow the state, and you should use tax policy to achieve that, not just to raise revenue to fund programs.
Some of this sounds to me like it's liberalism against conservatism. And some of it is the way to fix our problems with the budget and the pension is to raise taxes. And on the other side, it's no, the way to fix that problem is to bring more business, grow business in the state, and then you'll necessarily get more taxes. And if you raise taxes, you might necessarily push businesses out. Is that what your study is finding?
Well, I wouldn't say it's not liberalism and conservatism. I think that it's about effectiveness and efficiency. So what's effective tax policy and what's an efficient government? And I really believe we have to look at both sides of that equation. On the efficiency side, I think our government costs too much. And I'm not saying the programs are wrong, I just think it's set up very inefficiently. And so we need to have brave political leaders and committed New Jersey employers to really collaborate on how do we lower the cost of delivering service to New Jersey, and then use the revenue and the tax policy to incent and drive the businesses to stay here or grow here because we have a more efficient government.
Now, do you believe that under some of the tax policies of Phil Murphy, if he gets what he wants, let's say the millionaire's tax, that would push business out of the state?
I do. And I think that, it's being done in isolation. I keep coming back to that point, right? In isolation is the problem. And there are things that I think we need to have on both sides of that ledger. There's been no advocacy that I've heard anyway from the current governor on how do we reduce the cost of government in New Jersey. Again, not reduce service, reduce the cost. Private industry every day spends their every waking hour thinking about and having to, how do I reduce costs but improve service to my customers? And that's how we can think about our state government and our local government. There's nothing intrinsic in how we operate the government that isn't available to use the same techniques that we use in private industry to improve efficiency and improve the quality of service to customers. We do it every day. I led an organization at AT&T where we went through a 30% cost reduction, but improved service 50%. I think we can do that in the government too.
where would you reduce? Every time I talk to someone, including Republicans, they say, no, look, we've reduced about as much as we can reduce, we're able to. And even some of the most conservative, even some of the Republicans that have fought against the increase in taxes in the past, agree, okay, we understand we're in a problem and we have to find revenue. So it seems like it seems like there's going to be an increase in taxes somewhere. It seems like you're fighting a fight that's going to be difficult to win with this new administration.
But Larry, where does it stop, right? I mean, that's really the issue. So if we accept that we can never find a more efficient way of delivering service of our government, then we never will be able to, think that we can improve our lot in life. So, I mean, I believe, think about this, the government. If you add up, right, all the taxes in New Jersey, it's an $80 billion enterprise when you think about state and property taxes and federal funding. An $80 billion enterprise with 500,000 employees between local governments and the state. There's got to be opportunities to, I say not reduce costs, but re-engineer the service. And you can find more efficient ways of delivering, whether it's applying for unemployment, a DE permit process, going for social services at a local office. All of these things are laden right now, and no individual, I shouldn't say no, most individuals who work in our government offices, they can see it's inefficient. They, in fact, they know that it could be better, but they are not in a position to change it. That's why it takes leadership.
Let's talk about those employees for a second, because in the letter I talked about a second ago, you pointed out that Massachusetts has fewer state employees per 10,000 than New Jersey has, significantly fewer. Mm-hmm. And that Governor Murphy held up as an example. Would you like to see a reduction in the number of people that work at the state government?
I think that isn't a goal. It could be an outcome. And the reason why I say that I think it's got to be between government and the private industry, we're at a point where we have very low unemployment. We aren't as low as the national average, but I think the most recent number is 4.6%. That means that there are opportunities for individuals, if they are not going to be working, if we can find efficiency and not working in government, they can work with the private industry to retrain and land them into the private industry. So that it's a perfect time, frankly, to really be thinking about what are government services and what does it take to deliver those, and where are opportunities in the private sector for full employment, frankly.
You could lower the number of state employees through attrition. I'm not talking about layoffs, but certainly when people retire, maybe some of them don't have to be replaced. Well,
but that's the way we've been doing it, and I just think it continues the inefficiency. So that's why I think it's got to be re-engineered.
Okay, you have an event coming up on May 2nd.
We do. So I mentioned before we did a competitiveness study for the business environment in New Jersey against those industries. We're bringing together on a forum on May the 2nd in New Brunswick a combination of individuals both outside the state at the national level and locally to talk about what are the ideas we have to improve the economy in New Jersey. So we have both what you traditionally call conservative and more liberal individuals to start us off, talking about at the national level. So Steve Moore will be here on the conservative side, and Jim Wetzler from the more liberal side. And we're going to have a professional moderator and an audience participation level that will enable us to really talk about what are those ideas we've got to stimulate the economy in New Jersey, moving from the national down to the state level, and have leaders, both business and government, there to talk about their ideas and interact with an audience. It's on our website, so they can RSVP and sign up.
Okay, and so it's May 2nd, where is it?
In New Brunswick, at the Hyatt in New Brunswick.
Give your website one more time so people know where to go.
Sure, it's gardenstateinitiative.org.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks
Good
a lot,
to talk to you. Regina Egea is the president of the Garden State Initiative. She is also the former chief of staff for Governor Christie. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Ronald McDonald House, and we're going to tell you some things you probably didn't know about the Ronald McDonald House, and introduce you to a young boy that used to be a resident when New Jersey Matters continues.